Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are two of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.
Hi, I'm Sarah.
I'm Adam Heath Avitable.
This is Dating Kinda Sucks, a podcast about dating, sex, and relationships. This week, we'll be talking about the best ways to date someone virtually. Enjoy the show.
Very nice.
Oh, did I do a good job?
Good job. Look at that. Our new intro worked out well.
It really did. But how is social distancing / quarantine / dating life going for you right now?
Oh, it's been fine. I'm used to working from home. I mean, I get a little stir crazy every now and then, but I'll just go out and drive around a little bit. Maybe go to a restaurant, pick up some food here and there.
Oh, okay. So you've been doing that at least.
Yeah, because you can pick up food and go to go places pretty easily. Every restaurant in the area is offering some type of pickup. Either curbside or you can actually go in and order if you want as well. It was weird that going to Tijuana Flats to order and they had all of the tables stacked up against the wall so that nobody with one table in the room in the center, just one table by itself with one chair. It's like, so just in case somebody needs to sit down while they're waiting for their order, and everybody was standing awkwardly like in these weird spaced, like there was no markings on the floor.
Don't touch me. Everybody was like just standing
just far enough. Yeah, it was pretty interesting. It's been fun though. I had a friend come over on what today. We're recording this on Sunday. I had a friend come over on wow.
What day is it?
I know. It was on Wednesday. She came over on Wednesday and went in the pool. So she and I had a social distancing pool day.
Stayed 6 feet apart, and you were fine. And
mostly, we stayed far enough apart. I mean, I wasn't too worried about it anyways. In this situation, I mean, we weren't like in constant contact with each other or anything like that, so that was fine. And we spent a couple hours, and it had been the first day really that I'd been out in the pool because it's finally warm enough and the water is finally warm enough and my pool is being redone, so it's finally ready. And I got sunburned, so now my forehead is peeling, and it's lovely.
Can't really tell, but okay.
Hopefully you can't really tell, yeah. Especially because this episode is something where for the very first time
we're actually video recording right now,
yes,
which is weird.
I know. And we're going to put up the raw unedited video up on YouTube as well. Ideally, as long as it records properly and doesn't fuck up or anything like that. So yeah, now, like, of course I have a peeling forehead, but I don't think you can tell, luckily, because I've been lotioning the shit out of it. So, yeah, basically.
Just rubbing your head.
Yeah, but yeah, that was fun. It was nice to get to see another person. I mean, I see the people who live at my house, a little bit and talk to them, of course, but other than that, it was nice to have like another person nearby. And then on Tuesday, I'm having an actual social distancing pool party. And there's
wait, how many people? Oh, 4 people?
Four people total.
Okay.
Yep. And everybody's just going to stay just far enough away, and that's it. It'll be fine. It'll be interesting to see how it works, and I don't know. And I haven't now, I still haven't had anything to drink either. I haven't had any alcohol.
Really? Even with your friend coming over?
When she came over, it was just she was drinking water, and I had a soda, and I really didn't have any desire to, because if we were like drinking or if she was coming over with the idea that we were going to maybe hang out in the pool and then like bang or something, then maybe I probably would have maybe had a couple drinks and everything just to social lubrication, but that wasn't going to be happening, so I did not. I haven't had anything, and I haven't had any desire really, so we'll see. When my pool party, I'll probably have something to drink, I'm guessing. Maybe
at the minimum, maybe just one. Maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. But
so no dating either, just social distance.
No, and I haven't been on the apps. I haven't really been using them at all. I don't
blame you.
Yeah, I mean, like I talked about last week, it just really hasn't been anything that I have plenty of people to talk to. Like I have plenty of people that I can engage with that are friends that I already know, people that I like to talk to, and even prospective dates that I can talk to. Like, I mean, I've talked about the person that I'm kind of crushing on. I've talked to her. So like I have plenty of those. So I don't see any point in, spreading that out further on the dating apps. So
I don't blame you.
How about you?
It's been pretty quiet actually on the dating apps the past week. Last week I said nothing has really changed, and then this week, well, that was that was a lie. I think more people, actually a couple people, which makes sense for this topic, have asked me, have you tried doing a video first date yet? And what was your experience with that? And I did do that last Sunday.
After we finished recording,
you
had a FaceTime date scheduled.
Right after we finished recording, I FaceTime.
You looked like a 12-year-old boy at that point.
No, I fixed my hair just like I did now, just because I know that there's a camera on me right now.
Just so people watching know, too. Like, I know people listening can't tell, but people watching, she normally doesn't look like this.
I don't look this put together. And this really isn't me put together. This is just like a really thrown together t-shirt, and my hair is somewhat done.
Ratty t-shirt and like a sports bra, sometimes just a sports bra, and your hair is so you actually like went out. I love it that you
I try to look presentable right now.
I know. I almost wish I had mentioned doing recording until we were started, and then be like, hey, by the way, we're gonna record video, just so you could be like, fuck that.
I probably would have done that anyways. So after I was done looking like a 12-year-old boy, I put myself together for my video FaceTime date thing. And we talked for about 2 hours. I set up my desk and made sure the camera angle was just right. So, I didn't have any double chins or anything like that going on. Aesthetic. And then the conversation went really well. So 2 days later, we had another FaceTime date. But the problem is he doesn't live in Nashville, and go figure he doesn't. I guess he lives outside of Memphis, which Memphis is 3 hours away from Nashville. And I don't really know how we got connected on Hinge and we're in each other's ranges, because he was like 2 hours away from me. And he said that was the closest he got to Nashville, and somehow he got picked up in my range, which
sometimes I think the dating apps are just like, you know what? Fuck it, and they just like they just like decide to just expand it to like 100 miles or 200 miles or whatever, just to see. Or I guess if it's 3 or 4 hours away, that is 100 to 200 miles.
He wasn't 3 hours away like when we had matched, I guess. But either way, because I was trying to figure out, why is this guy so nice? Why is he so sweet? Why does whatever? And then I realized, he doesn't live in Nashville. This makes so much more sense now. But we've FaceTimed twice, and then we've been texting on and off. But the thing is, 1, I'm stuck in my apartment until further notice. And 2, he doesn't even live in the city. And 3, I don't know if what's the point? So, and he's talked about trying to drive here and going on a date. And I mean, he's nice and I like talking to him. But after everything else going on in the world right now, why? Just why? I don't see the point.
Is the entire state of Tennessee in a shelter in place, or is it just Nashville area?
Nashville's a stay-at-home order right now, and a lot of things are shut down. But yeah, you can still get takeout. But
you can still leave your house.
Yeah, I can still leave my house. I left my house yesterday and went hiking. But
yeah, okay, that's what I thought. So I mean, you guys could go on a hike.
Yeah, but
to
drive almost 3 hours.
Well, I don't know. I mean, at this point, I would fucking I wouldn't care.
I want to leave my house, but I don't know about how bad.
Someone's like, come to Savannah. I'll be like, yeah, let's go.
Let's drive 4 hours from Orlando. I mean, I could, but he also the other interesting thing is he also has a daughter. So yeah, I don't think.
How old is he?
He is 30, and then his daughter is in like 4th or 5th grade, somewhere around that.
Okay.
But
how old that is?
I don't know. It's a kid. I don't know. It's a kid. Maybe it's 3rd grade. I don't know. I don't have a child of my own, obviously. But yeah, so he's talked to me a lot about his daughter, and that's cool, and his past and whatever. And honestly, he's really nice, and I don't know. Okay, to be completely honest, I don't know if it's just because I'm really fucking lonely right now that I'm like, I don't really care that you have a kid. I don't really care if you have issues. Let's just talk, because I have fucking nobody to talk to. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's like I actually really like him. And then part of me right now, with everything going on, why am I even bothering with any of this right now? Why? Because I'm going to start talking to these people, even the ones that I'm still matching with, because I'm still using Hinge right now. Even if I continue to talk to them and add them on Instagram and we video call or whatever, it's still going to be another month till we meet in person. And it's just a longer courtship. And honestly, fuck that shit. I don't know. It's just, I'd rather just meet you in person, decide that you suck, and then go back to living my life. Now I have to pretend that you're great for a month.
Well, it's funny because I feel like you're just repeating exactly what I said last episode when you were telling me.
I've been doing it, and I think it's a terrible idea. I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I gave it a week.
I know.
Why did I even bother?
Yeah. If he was someone that, if you weren't, being, socially, if you weren't quarantining, et cetera, would you go on a date with him?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
But I think the logistics of...
Is that horny, lonely Sarah saying that, or is that actual, rational, non-lizard brain Sarah saying that?
Lizard brain Sarah?
Like the lizard brain that's just like, I'm horny and I just need people. Yeah, like that's the lizard brain. All of us have that lizard brain that just like is reacting in a pure instinct to that, but or rationally.
Right. But no, because I'm not even in the mood right with him anyways to be like, I just want sex, whatever, lizard brain. It's more the reassuring, I'm talking to someone and he's pretty cool, and the logistics of, okay, but where would we meet on our first date? Would you drive to Nashville? Would I drive to Memphis? What are you doing with your daughter? What? I don't know.
Leave that up to him. Obviously, that wouldn't be your responsibility, but I would say driving to Memphis would be nice because then at least you could go walking in Memphis.
Did you really?
I really did that.
And I've been to Memphis before, multiple times. So it's not.
No, you make him come to you, of course. That'd be the only thing worthwhile.
Yeah, but then the logistics of, okay, so he comes to me, we do a dinner date or whatever, and then he's gonna drive 3 hours back home. The old me, the rational me goes, okay, see ya, go home. But part of me is like, well, you just drove 3 hours here. You could spend the night. That's just fine. Why not? You've already taken all the time to drive over.
You have a couch, right?
I do, but...
So, arguably, you could offer up a couch, too.
You know that I'm not going to...
No, I know you. I know.
Just take the couch. Yeah. Be like, well, this other side of the bed doesn't get a lot of action, so feel free to sleep right here, or just be on top of me. It's fine.
Or be on top of me.
But
just grind, will you?
Yeah, just grind. But yeah, I don't know where that's gonna go, and honestly, we haven't talked in like 4 days now. So what's the?
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had our last FaceTime date on Tuesday, and then we're texting on and off, but we haven't really texted since maybe Thursday, Friday. So I haven't really heard anything from him. So
okay.
And then I'm still on Hinge. I'm still matching with people, but like I said, why? Just why?
Yeah, I know. It's definitely it is.
Everyone's asking, what are we doing? What do we do after this?
Right, and it can be difficult, I think, because I think there will be people that you're going to click with on a really, I think, intense way, even virtually, and those will be people that you'll be like, I really want to keep this going.
Yeah. But like I said, my thing is, am I only keeping this going because I'm lonely or because I actually really enjoy your company? And I don't really know if I enjoy your company because I've only really enjoyed you through a screen.
Yes. Which, makes it difficult.
Yeah. So,
like I said, it's just too bad you and the Alabama guy that lived in your building didn't hit it off any better.
Good old...
Because you could have just you could have been all set. You guys could have been quarantining together.
No, because remember he told me I was a bad kisser.
No, and I know why it didn't connect. I'm just saying that's too bad that didn't work out. That he ended up being shitty,
Just too bad, yeah. But I keep running into him every time I go for walks around my building. He's standing outside, awkwardly looking, and I don't know to give him.
Cough and then walk by close to him and start coughing on him.
That's fucked up. No, I don't do anything. I wanted to wave and say hi the other day, and then I caught myself saying hello and put my hand out and just kept
saying hello to him. He's still a human being, for fuck's sake, and he's probably just as lonely as you are. To be honest, you could talk to him.
He's a roommate. It's fine. Fine. He's probably not that lonely, but.
And what's been going on with the doctor?
Oh, I knew we were going to get to this, and this is the meat of everything. There's so much, actually, Adam. I'm happy that you asked.
Oh, all right.
And for those of you who think that when Adam goes on a rant is annoying, this is when I go on a rant about my life. So feel free to fast forward through the next 20 minutes of this shit. I don't know. Who knows how long I go on about this, but where to begin?
Well, let's recap the doctor.
We have to recap this.
Yeah, let's recap briefly. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you went on a date with the doctor. That you guys dated a little bit, but then he kind of decided he wasn't up for dating, like seriously, committed thing, right. And you guys decided just to kind of maybe just be friendly, and it's kind of ended there. And you guys have still chatted and kind of talked to each other, and that was the last kind of I think we left it was that you and the doctor we're
just cool.
Yeah, you're just cool, and you're just kind of, and you found out that he was, likely just banging someone else, and so it's just like, okay, good. You're kind of glad that you moved on, and yeah, that you guys aren't dating anymore.
Yeah,
you're still trying to be friendly.
Yeah, and he said date other people, and then he clarified he was going to be dating other people too, and he's dealing with all the
very clear to clarify that. Like
very clear. So he's fucking other people. I'm just fucking myself. I'm like on a 14-day streak of masturbating now. This is, just get myself around. I'm doing great there. But we've been talking every day, and I've been very anxious. And I will admit, this whole thing, no one's gone through anything like this before. So me checking the news, I know is not healthy for me. And so I've had to really scale back on that and be more present and go outside and figure out ways to really cope with just being anxious about this. But I've really been confiding in him a lot just because he's kind of, he is in it, right? He's a doctor.
Right. And
just to be vulnerable around him because I'm not really talking to a lot of my friends right now, not for a point of we're mad at each other or whatever, but my friends have their own lives, but I've kind of been going to him with a lot of stuff. So I've really developed a level of trust with him and really opened up with him. And so he knows about like my anxiety and some of the things that I've been struggling with. And then
which is normal, by the way. I would say that a lot of people's anxiety levels have been increasing. I feel like that's during a period like this, that seems very normal.
Literally every single one of my friends is dealing with some level of anxiety. One of my friends had a panic attack 2 days ago because she kept checking the news. So a lot of my friends, what's working for me is not checking the news right now. And that's what I've suggested to some of my other friends who are dealing with their own stuff. But regardless, so he's obviously in healthcare, and I have a friend who is a PA who's in healthcare as well, and she was exposed, and so she's been, self-quarantined and just whatever. And so he knew that, and he asked for her number and just to talk about the coronavirus and stuff. And
is this someone that lives with her boyfriend?
Yeah, my friend who lives with her boyfriend, yeah.
Are they quarantining together, or does he? Or
yeah.
Okay, so he's just kind of taking it on too. He's.
She thinks she's probably fine. She's
right.
Day like 12 now or something like that. Okay. So she's probably fine. But yeah, she told him, yeah, if I get it, you're getting it.
Okay.
But anyways, so I gave him her number because she said it was fine. She's like, yeah, sure, we could talk about coronavirus stuff. So I guess he called her. Well, he did call her, I don't guess. He called her and they started talking about just her experience at the clinic and what's been going on for him at the hospital and whatever. And then he kind of was like, well, the real reason I called was to talk about Sarah, actually. And my friend was just like, okay, sure. What do you want to talk about with Sarah? And I've actually struggled with, do I tell this whole story or do I not? But long story short, he talked to my best friend about a health condition that he thinks that I have, but couldn't tell me, and was asking if my friend had noticed anything with my thyroid because he FaceTimed me and noticed that my thyroid seemed enlarged and whatever. And my friend literally was like, no, I don't think so. What? I'm already sweating talking about this.
I know.
Should I even be talking about this right now? I don't know.
I'm just trying to process this whole thing. So it's just the fact that he asked if he could call talk to your best friend about her quarantining and coronavirus and like her experiences, because he was trying to educate himself.
Healthcare professional to healthcare professional. Right. I think
so. You gave him her number, and he called her and then switched the conversation to talking about you and your private health and personal issues with her.
Right.
Okay.
So that's that, right?
Right.
How much further do I go? Okay, so then it goes into he thinks I might have an autoimmune disease and whatever. And so I know nothing. I just gave him I gave him my friend's number, and I thought they were going to talk about that
professional shit, and yeah.
And then I even asked him, how is the conversation with my friend? And he was like, oh, we talked about you. I was like, liar. He's like, oh, and he didn't really address, oh, we talked about something else. Like, that could have been the point of, hey, actually, whatever. Right. So the next day, Friday, my friend calls me and she's like, so I talked with the doctor, and are you sitting down?
Oh, shit.
I'm like, what's going on? She goes on to tell me that basically that all happened, and she thinks that he was coming from a good place because he knew that I was struggling with anxiety. So he wanted to talk to her about it and get her perspective and that. So she tells me, and I kind of froze, kind of as I am now. And I really.
How did you feel? Like, what did that make you feel?
I felt lied to. I felt kind of betrayed. I felt like it was none of his business really to be giving his medical opinion on me when I didn't ask for it. And the more that I thought about it, the more that I kept having to tell myself, he's not my fucking doctor. Right. He's just the guy that I dated. And I don't, to put it in a similar perspective, I don't tell my friends who are starting their businesses, who are trying to build their marketing plans, how to market their business. If they ask me for my advice on what they should do, then yeah, sure, I'll give them advice and I'll point them in the right direction. But I don't. And
even to take that a step further, you don't ask to call their business partners and start giving their business partners advice on how they should run their business.
Right.
Because you'd think that they're not doing it right and you don't want to tell them personally.
Oh, that's another layer that I didn't even really consider. But yes. So yeah, I felt kind of betrayed, lied to. He didn't necessarily manipulate me, but I've experienced abusive and manipulative relationships before, that this just didn't really sit well with me. And then on top of that, if he really thought that I had some kind of autoimmune disease, he had been inviting me over all week last week. And he's been in the hospital, exposed to a bunch of patients. And honestly, as much as I wanted to see him last week, he's the last fucking person I should be around, because he's just he's so out there with everybody and just being in a hospital. So
okay. All right. So
it's not getting any better here.
No, it's not. I gotta yeah. And I even know that he probably listens to it, although he might not listen.
He's listening right now, because we just had probably 30 minutes before we started recording.
So he's probably gonna listen
to this episode. So he's definitely listening. So
let me just say that's fucked up, okay? And I'm gonna say some things that you don't have to say, just because I want to say some things on this. Okay. Number one, that violates so many boundaries. Just the calling your best friend, first of all, just violates so many boundaries to try to talk to.
My friend was cool with it, though.
My friend was health issues. That's fine that she was. You weren't. It's your boundaries. It's not her boundaries.
No. But I mean, she was cool with him calling.
Oh yeah, right.
In the first place about coronavirus stuff.
Sure, no, that wasn't violating the boundaries. The boundaries is bringing it around to you and talking about things like that. That if he was really concerned about you, he should talk to you. That you're the person to talk to. She's not your proxy. She's not your doctor. Anything like that. If that's a whole thing. But then I don't.
Watch your mouth, no.
I know. I'm trying to be very, very just very diplomatic in the way that I say this, but. If he sincerely and genuinely thought that maybe you had an autoimmune disease or autoimmune disorder of some type, and was genuinely concerned for that, and at the same time was trying to get you to come over and hook up after spending the day with patients that were sick with COVID-19, that's a whole level of fucked up that I don't understand. I don't understand how those two things mesh together, and how that just feels very either hypocritical or anti-Hippocratic oath or both, and shitty. Like, I don't understand.
I don't even know if he was thinking that far ahead either, because he had been he noticed on Thursday when we had FaceTimed, or Wednesday or whenever that we FaceTimed, that my thyroid from the angle or whatever, but he didn't want to tell me about it because he thought that would just give me more anxiety, and he wanted to let my friend know so that if a clinic was to close, they were to close, that I could go to a clinic and get it checked out. And to that, I told him, even if it was the case, I'm not fucking getting it checked out because I honestly think that I'm fine. And I told him, I said, you're not my doctor. I think you were coming from a helping place, that you wanted to help, that you noticed a problem and you wanted to, help me in any way. But I think the way you went about it was poor. I feel like I said, I feel lied to. I don't like it at all. And I'm the type of person that after she told me, I called you right after, and I was popping the fuck off. I was so fucking mad because him and I have talked about health things before, and I say that in air quotes, but my hands were dry, and he wanted to say I had an autoimmune disease then too, and I had a pimple on my back, and he wanted to suggest that I go to a dermatologist. And I get that he's coming from a helpful place, but it always seems like to me, I'm the one who needs to be fixed. And I don't need to be fixed. I have fucking problems. I got it. I know that I've struggled with shit in the past, and I'm very open with what my issues are and how I can go about reaching out. But how I cope with a lot of things is just like I've been talking about him with my anxiety over all of this COVID-19 stuff, is just talking to people about it. That helps me because honestly, I can't afford to go to therapy right now. And I'm not going to a doctor right now because I don't think, with everything else going on, I don't think I have anything. And I don't know. It's just, I told him all of this, and he apologized, and he thought more about it, and he knew, what he did was fucked up too. But
did he?
I mean, he just kept apologizing on the phone. And
what was he apologizing for?
The way he went about everything.
See because it's the whole fact that it happened at all, not even the way he went about it. Like, it's like he doesn't see you as Sarah, this girl that he was interested in. It's like he's like, oh no, this is a patient. How do I get around this? And that's like he's not treating you as an equal human being in this capacity, in my opinion.
Well, that's what I said to him though. Yeah. I felt like I was the lesser of the two of us, which he said that's not the case, but I was always needing to be fixed in some way, shape, or form. And I think he disclosed with my friend that this has been an issue in the past with girls that he's dated, or so. I don't know exactly what they said before, but he's been really anxious at work, and I don't know, he talked about his mental health and whatever, and I get it. He's going through shit too, but this was just so not necessary for him to do, and just I still am not happy about it. And even on the phone with him, I was really short, and he apologized, and I got the phone and I started fucking crying because I had talked to one of my other friends about this whole situation, and I don't know why I was still continuing on with this relationship, to be completely honest. I mean, he said he didn't want a relationship right now. He didn't want anything serious. And I was like, okay, cool. We can just be friends then. But at the end of the day, I want someone who meets me and shortly after going on 1 or 2 dates knows, fuck, I really like this girl. I want to impress her. I want to do whatever, because I do the same thing for fucking guys. But I deserve that. And I definitely think everybody deserves that. And why am I continuing something with someone who doesn't want to be that person for me?
Right. No, I mean, I agree. You don't want someone who's going to, take you by the hand and then take a little hammer out and test your reflexes while they're taking you by the hand.
He's not even really taking you by the hand, though. I mean, I get whatever. I'm not paying attention to your stuff. Go away. But I don't know. Why do I keep putting myself in these situations where the guys we're just kind of meh about one another, and I'm still continuing it? So I'm not lonely because this is a weird time that I seek comfort in just talking to someone else about my
I don't think you were mad about him in the beginning. You were trying to figure it out because he felt different than other guys, so I think that there was a genuine. You were trying to work through it in the beginning, and then some of the ways that he started acting about a couple things made you realize that you weren't interested. Yeah. And being friends with him, that just seemed like it was gonna eventually end anyways. But he decided to bring it to its own end by doing this, by overstepping every boundary.
Yeah, I mean, and that was the thing. We talked about just being cool with one another, but then we were dating other people, but we were talking about trying to have phone. We were gonna like have phone sex and talking about like fucking one another because we're both really horny. And but that's not what really deep down I want. You know, like
Right.
I'm horny, whatever. But what I really want deep down is a solid fucking relationship and someone I can trust and rely on, and I will do the same for them. And one, I don't feel like the trust is there at all. And I told him that I just don't trust you right now. And when that trust is broken, I don't fucking play. Friends, whatever. If I'm in the wrong, whatever. But there's really not a lot to go back on. I could still think about this and whatever, but I'm still mad. I'm still upset. Why did I continue this whole thing to begin with? And yeah.
I mean, I'm impressed that you had a conversation with them about it at all, because that was enough of a violation that really could have just been like a text. Hey, listen, I don't appreciate what you did. I don't think we should be friends. Like that, because that really is a huge violation of trust and your boundaries. And if he thought you had anxiety, did he not realize that she was going to go tell you as soon as you got off the phone? Of course she was. Like, did he not think about that?
Right.
And he honestly should have just been like, hey, just so you know, I noticed this, and I know that. I know I'm not your doctor. I know that you have, but I just want to let you know, as someone who does this professionally, next time you're at your doctor, just talk to him about this, because it might be something that maybe not, but better safe than sorry. That's all. And then he should have just left it at that, and you would have been like, okay, thank you, and you would have dismissed it. But at least he did his due diligence as someone whose job is medicine, without going around you with some elaborate charade. Let me talk to your friend about her coronavirus experience so that I can then talk about you.
I mean, my friend even said when he brought it up, actually the real reason I called, my friend in the back of her head said, this sly motherfucker.
Yeah.
But that was the other thing. My friend kept saying, don't blow up, because I was pissed on the phone with her. She kept saying, don't blow up on him. He's coming from a good place, whatever. And I was like, I'm so fucking mad right now. And even if I did go off on him, which I had a phone call with him today and I didn't go off on him, what's the point? There's nothing to argue about.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm sorry. Good intentions are great. But intentions don't matter in a lot of situations. There's that terrible cliched phrase, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I mean, you can have good intentions all you want, but it's about how the other person feels and about what you do to the other person. If someone's like, oh, I didn't mean to offend you, but your words offended the person, you still offended them. And it's the same type of thing. I didn't mean to cross your boundaries and destroy trust with my actions. It wasn't my intention. Well, you know what? Tough shit. That's what you did. Like that was the result of your actions. So maybe you think before you fucking act.
Yeah. I don't emotionally, I'm just spent now. I don't want to fucking see another man until the COVID-19 is over with. I'm done. I don't want to look at you. No. Why? And that's why I keep getting so upset though, is because I know what I deserve, and we weren't even at that level of what I know that I want. So why was I even continuing it to begin with? So I wasn't lonely because I thought he was nice enough, because he fit this mold that it could work down the road. Why do I keep doing? This is the second person this year that I've done this. I did the guy who lived in Franklin, who was great on paper, but he never wanted to kiss me. And now
the one that you said fuck her in front of too many times.
Yeah, that one. Yeah,
the one who's probably a little too conservative, and no, but the one he just saw something different, and yeah, that.
But I got emotional over him, and then I got emotional about the doctor, because I really did at one point want it to work, and then when he said he didn't want a relationship, I was already turned off to that.
Oh, immediately, yeah.
When I thought that's what we were on the path to becoming or whatever. And then I still continued it as whatever we were trying to figure it out as, is, are we having sex? Are we whatever? And I know that's not going to work for me. Why did I pretend that was going to work for me? Why didn't I just cut that shit off? Why do I keep letting things linger? Because I'm alone? Because is that the reason why? I'm just, oh, well, I have nothing better going for me right now. So why don't I just have this thing that I know is not going to work, at least right here?
I think it's because
there's somebody.
you've had so many shitty experiences with guys that are absolutely terrible that are immediate, oh nope, I'm done, that when someone isn't like that they're genuinely, oh yeah, that seems like someone that you could date, but just things aren't there. It's easier to want that to linger and to try to, just stay friends or stay friendly or whatever, because in the end you're like, oh well, this at least, this person's at least not a bad person.
Yeah.
That's why. And also because you put yourself out there genuinely. You are your genuine self when you go out on these dates and when you meet these people. And so you are opening yourself up for to get emotional because you are being yourself, and that's okay. Like that's part of it. I mean, that's unfortunately.
And I mean, you and I have had this conversation of, I was protecting him on the podcast too, which
yes,
I don't do.
Every time you do that, by the way, it's always good. I always can tell there's something that's going to happen.
You always roll your eyes. Oh yeah. But every time I say, oh, everything's great, I have no complaints, everything's wonderful, he's a nice guy, you're sitting on the other side rolling your fucking eyes, which now that we're recording these
I know that they can watch
people will be able
it.
to see that you're rolling your eyes.
They're going to read between the lines and be like, oh, what was it? What really happened then? If Adam's like making faces.
But I was trying to keep what we had more private, because maybe that'll make it work more. We'll progress faster, or it'll just be better because I won't disclose so much to the general public. And then there are some other things that happened that I wasn't necessarily happy with, things that he said and did that I just did not share on here. And I'm sure he's gonna be like, what did I do? And he's gonna text me, but that I didn't want to say because I didn't want to make him look bad, even though I told other people and they said, no, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
But yes, I didn't want to.
That's what you told. You did say that.
Yeah, I didn't want to put him on blast because he's a good person, and I think he just got caught up into, he didn't mean it or whatever, and I was making all these excuses, and then this happened. I was like, wait, I'm done. Like I'm just done.
Yeah.
So
I can, and I think that, not to, tout the positivity of this podcast as a whole, but I feel like when you walk through things and without trying to hide things, you also, like, it's almost like you're trying to prove a point sometimes when you hide things, because you're like, oh, I have to make this work now because now I'm hiding shit.
I know.
But when we talk about it openly, it's like he can listen and be like, oh yeah, I did do that. That was shitty of me. I'm sorry. And if that's how if you said, we did this and that rubbed me the wrong way, and he listens and says, shit, I did do that, and I didn't mean that. You know what? I'm not going to do that again. Then that's a good person. That's someone who's actually learning from their actions. If he hears that and gets all defensive and says, oh, blah, 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 like with Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
When he started, everything you said that you were talking about, he was like, oh, well, he started like gaslighting you about that and saying that, how dare you, even talk about it. And that's someone who's shitty. And so it's also a good way to maybe have people, see what people's intentions are like overall, because they get to hear you talk about these things in a raw way, and they get to see themselves 100% through this, like, just this unfiltered, just reality. I know when Tinkerbell and I'm Katie. I don't know why. Like, I've said her name before, and I mean, like, yeah, she says her name everywhere, even on the Patreon episode we have where she and I interview. I was like, does this bother you when we were talking about I would talk about everything that she and I were going through. And she said, no, I really like it. It's like I know that I can just like tune in and I can hear what you're actually thinking about it. And that's the people that I've dated that have been worthwhile have actually really appreciated that. They're just like, yeah, it's nice. It's just like, you get to hear these things that you might not otherwise hear. It's like tuning in on a conversation between the person you're dating and one of their best friends, just talking about the date, and you get to hear and learn things. And
I feel like I'm gonna get slapped on the wrist when I'm say all the negative things, and then I come across as the crazy girl who's always bitching about dates or whatever. So I withhold some of the negativity because I'm afraid that I'm going to be labeled as basically fucking undateable at this point, because I always find something wrong with somebody, where I'm not saying I'm perfect either, and I'm sure I do fucked up shit on dates too. Yeah. But no one's there.
You almost killed him in a rock climbing thing. So I mean,
It's true. But no one's there with their podcast to call me out. So then I get protective of, okay, well, maybe I should shield it a little bit more, because if I was in his shoes, I don't know. especially with the doctor, that's how I've been looking at it. If I was in his shoes, I wouldn't necessarily want that going out there, and I don't know how to have this conversation with him face to face, so I'm just not going to mention it and say everything is fine when really things really weren't fine. So
well, that's the thing is you're talking about negative stuff is okay, like, because you talk about positive things too. It's not like you're all negative, and no dates are going to be 100% perfect. There's always going to be weird little, like, just little things that you just talk about. Oh, well, this happened that was silly or dumb or whatever. Like, there's always going to be little things just about experiences that are both positive and negative. Talking about all of them paints a better picture of what actually happened.
Yeah, you're right.
And like, even the negative things that you had to talk about weren't like these awful, terrible things that are immediate red flags, like get rid of him type things. And so they weren't things that were like, it was just like little things that like you're going through your head processing. And
but I'm very quick to cut bitches off.
Yes.
when things one after another, I go, okay, well, I think we're fucking done here, you know? And then, but if it's super shitty, I have no problem being like, okay, here's the tea today. This motherfucker did this and this and this. But if he's somewhat nice, like you said, oh, well, let's just protect him to a certain degree because I don't want to be that bitch.
Right. Well, you know what? Even nice people can grow and learn. I try to be nice sometimes, and I can always learn. I would love to know any person I go on a date with. I'd love to know exactly what they're thinking about it, because that's would be like, okay, good. Well, that's something I need to look at. Maybe that's something I come across in a certain way that I didn't realize. Like, those are all things I would love to know. That I would love, like, people always ask about, what superpower would you want? Would you have invisibility or the invisibility or the ability to fly or super speed? I always say I would want the ability to read people's minds. I would love the ability just to read what people are actually thinking, because then I could be like, okay, well, this is how it would help me grow as a person. Oh, well, what I did ended up making someone think this. So I need to change that. So I think that's the way to approach the world. Is I want to know what people are thinking about, because I want to know how my actions and my words affect other people.
No, I still want to fly, but okay.
All right. Well, let's
fly on to the next topic or something. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Fly on to our break, and then we'll be back with the rest of the episode.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty short, actually.
No, you never know with us.
Yeah, that is true. Every time we say that, it ends up being long as shit. So that is true. All right.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh shit! We forgot to have any type of figure out how we're going to start this.
No, I was going to say this is a virtual date right now, but not a date.
This is for. Let's start this whole thing over.
Okay, let's do that.
Why don't you just go start and say that?
This is kind of a virtual date right now.
Just
not a date.
Just not a date. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, I am of course erect and have no pants on, so like it might be like a virtual date.
Oh, great! Well, this is news to me. I'm not okay with that.
Isn't that what virtual dating is? Just having no pants on and getting on video with somebody?
Actually, now that you mentioned, I'm thinking from the top up, Walmart actually sent out their stats or their sales, and purchases of tops have gone up probably 30-40% versus bottoms, because everyone's buying tops for work calls and stuff, and then they're just wearing sweatpants or what else underneath.
Yeah. Nothing. Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
Just have to look good from the chest up, tits up.
Yeah, just the upper torso is all that matters.
Yeah,
you can wear crop tops and nobody would even know.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, no, you and I have been doing, we have a virtual date once a week anyway.
We have a virtual relationship, really.
It's actually very true. I mean, it really is on multiple levels, because I mean, since a lot of people maybe who, if they haven't listened from the beginning, might not even know that you and I didn't even meet in person until we've been recording for 9 months.
Yeah. And I had only known who you were because I was sitting in the audience and you were speaking on stage, and then we connected on Twitter.
Yeah, which is so
funny. It was all virtual.
Yeah, so like you had seen me in person, but I didn't know, like I had never actually seen you at that workshop. And then and that's so funny. What a crazy thing that we started the podcast and never actually met each other, and then finally we did our end of the year recap and one of our only like kind of live episodes.
It's always weird too when we hang out in person because I know you so well, but every time I see you, I have to remind myself, oh no, he's real. He's a real person. He's real. It's right there.
Of course, last time I saw you, we were so hungover that you slept on my couch for like 4 hours.
I died at your place, and then you fed me tacos and
you want to flash? Yeah.
And
that was great.
Gave myself Pedialyte, but
yes. I watched you puke outside a honey baked ham.
Never going back to Orlando, but
oh my god, yeah. So I think you and I are pretty good at this whole virtual thing, and
it's a long relation. This is the longest virtual relationship I've ever had too.
Yeah,
I mean,
too.
Still going strong, but
I know. We I think we accidentally missed our
2-year anniversary.
Our 2-year anniversary. Is it 2 year? 3? Yeah, it's 2 year.
Yeah.
And but we're coming up on 100 episodes soon, so we'll have to remember to count our episodes so we can do that. We have to do something for that. I don't know why, but we'll do it in the middle of this pandemic when we're all in quarantine. We'll figure out some type of fun thing to do for 100 episodes. But yeah, this is the longest virtual relationship I think I've had as well. And I know that it's funny. Last week we talked about, let's not do topics all related to COVID-19. Let's try to avoid. Right. Let's have some normalcy a little bit, but I also don't know that people want to listen to anything now about like normal things like that. I don't know,
they can't apply it to their life right now because they're stuck inside doing nothing.
Yeah, it's like, we did an episode last week about picking up the check, and I was like, pick up the check where? What the fuck are you talking about? You can't.
You think I'm going to go to a restaurant? Come on, now.
Exactly. We should have done one on how to send Uber Eats to your person, or something like that.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, when I went out with Dirty Dancing, and that one time she actually sent Taco Bell to my house from Uber Eats. Yeah, it was very sweet.
And I actually just watched a video on. There's been a couple news articles that have talked about dating during a pandemic, and everyone, us included, have been talking about it. And there was one example of this girl. She was saying, we did a video date, and he actually sent me dinner. And then we popped open. I had wine. He had wine. And then we ate dinner on the phone and drank wine and got to know each other like that. But he ordered her delivery.
I think that's a cute way to do it. Yeah. That's a cute way to do that. Is you can, especially you're in the same town, so the good restaurants, you can order them a meal from there. I mean, and then, you can order yourself the same meal, and you guys both get to have a meal.
But then they know your address.
I mean, that is true.
Now that I'm saying that out loud, it's so cute. Unless he Venmos you or she Venmos you the money for the meal, that way you don't give your address out. Is the only other thing. Yeah,
I wonder if there's a solution to that. We had someone in the Facebook group who was a little weirded out because a guy that she'd been talking to sent her flowers to her work, but
she never told him where she worked.
Yeah, or maybe he said flowers. I'm trying to remember how. Anyways, I don't remember exactly the details of what happened, but what it ended up being, she didn't make this clear in the original post, was that it was to her home. That's what it was, and she was freaked. She was a little like, was this too much? And everyone's like, yeah, he sent them to your home. You've never actually met him. You've only been talking on dating apps and everything like that. But what he did was he actually called the florist, gave his credit card, was like, I want to send these flowers. Can you, once you have them ready, can you call her? Here's her number. Get her address and then deliver them to her. So he let them, the flower place do it. So it wasn't him finding out her address. And once that came out, I was like, oh, it's still overstepping. Like, it's a little bit of love bombing, but it's not as bad.
A little much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little much, but it's not as bad as if you were to find out someone's address and send them flowers.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's also another good thing to point out too. If they are going to send you delivery, you don't have to give them your address. Don't think, oh yeah, sure, here's my address, send it to there. Right. Think about it before you go ahead and just give them their address, because I think that's one thing that could potentially be overlooked.
You could pay for pickup, though. You could call a restaurant and pay for it and say, there's an order there for pickup. It's, the touchless or curbside where they come out and drop it off of your car. Mm-hmm. So you could still do that as a date. That could still be a thing that would still keep you safe, unless he's in his car following you home. And, he's like,
great, yeah, this is wonderful.
I mean, yeah, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for creepers in this virtual dating thing, I think, unfortunately. right? I mean, I think that's kind of one downfall that you have to be careful with if you are trying to virtually date someone who maybe you don't that you've never met before, that maybe you're just talking through a dating app right now.
Yeah, because I think the first thought with video dating is, okay, well, what's your phone number so we can FaceTime?
Right.
And then now where I wouldn't normally give out my number until I meet them in person, now I'm giving them my number so then we can FaceTime. The benefit, though, is that I can only get dressed from the top, from here up. Right. I don't have to spend that much effort getting ready, and it's a pretty easy, less committed way to go on a date with somebody, because it's not really a date,
And their number, I don't want to say people are less likely to become creepy, but it's also, there's a little bit of safety in between that, a little bit of distance, because of what's happening anyways. This can apply too, by the way. This whole virtual dating thing could apply to like long distance relationships as well. Like you could set up dates and everything, but giving your phone number, so maybe there's some safety issues around that. And are there solutions? I mean, there are things better than FaceTime, right? I mean, Skype, you don't need a phone number to Skype, right? You can set up and you can use Skype on your phone, so it's like you can set up an account.
Yeah,
you can use the app or your computer.
You can use Zoom and set up a call.
Yes, you can use Zoom, and then you can go if you're polyamorous, you can go on a date with 100 people at once. And
that is also true, yeah.
You can also Bumble. The Bumble app has a video chat, right?
Yeah, so, Bumble has it. I've never used it, but I was actually reading too that their Bumble's app usage has gone up significantly since all of this too. Which I know Hinge too, or Hinge has been pushing go on a virtual date, and they have pop-ups that ask you, have you gone on a video date with this person, and kind of prompt you to then take that next step in that way. I'm not sure what Bumble's specifically doing, but I know that they do have that feature as well, and they've been seeing an increase in people using it, I'm sure.
It's funny. I was reading an article about like all the different apps and what they're doing, and they all have different messages and stuff, and Hinge is saying things like, Hinge encouraged people to to try to use a third party phone, be careful, try to get on the phone or talk to someone by video before you actually don't meet them right now, etc., just to stay safe. And then it was like, Hinge has neither of these options available in their app. Like and I just thought it was funny. It's just like, Hinge done fucked up basically. Tinder had some weird message too. Actually, every once in a while app's put a message in my chats or whatever about.
Oh, really?
Here's some tips for staying safe during a pandemic, and they're all saying don't meet, and try to just make it virtual basically, and enjoy your swiping. And Tinder apparently also changed. They made my favorite feature of Tinder. Which is why free, and that is the feature to their passport, where you can
which I've never used. So what
it is fun. You just choose any location in the world, and you just start swiping.
Really?
Yeah, because I used to pay for Tinder just because I wanted to pay. I paid for it when I was on the road touring with comedy, because I wanted to. I would put in the location that I wanted to be, that I was going to be in a week ahead of time, and I would swipe there. And I would usually try to find a date or two while I was there. And so I had to kind of plan ahead. So I needed to pay for it to do that, so I could, match people before I got there. And that's when I would get bored. I'd pick like Sydney, Australia, or Scotland, or Ireland. And I would just pick random cities in these places, and I would start swiping. And that's when I found out that, number one, I apparently am a hit in Australia. I got so many fucking matches in Australia. I don't know. It's the whole gorilla bearded look is just a thing there. And there's a lot of beautiful women in Australia. And that's when I decided I wanted to move to Australia, basically. It was 100% my Tinder passport experience. So you can do that now if you're bored on the dating apps. You can change your location. They're making it free
until like April 30th or something.
Yeah,
it's a while. That's what I read anyways, but I don't use Tinder. So, but that's actually pretty interesting. I think. Yeah. Well, I also see a spike of people long distance dating from someone in another country. 90 Day Fiance is going to see a boom in people that are applying for that show, because that could be a possibility.
I've been chatting on WhatsApp with my friend in the UK, the girl that I've talked to, that
who was in
passenger.
Town with her son.
Yeah. So she and I have been video chatting as well, so that's been nice. Yeah, no like actual virtual dates, just kind of chatting occasionally. But let's talk about the actual concept of virtual dating. I guess what it should be like. Well, how did you do it? You did one, so let's
right. I wish we didn't even really drink on our date. There wasn't like, oh, let's buy a drink and pour a glass and let's just sit here and cheers or whatever. It was more. It felt more friendly, which is why I also don't know after this whole thing is over if we will meet in person, because it just felt like, which might also be a good thing, but it felt like kind of talking to a friend, and we didn't really jump into. It didn't feel like a date, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It just felt more casual. How are you? Whatever. What are you looking for? And we touched on some of those things, but it just didn't have the same vibe that you would get if you were actually out at a bar or restaurant with somebody. I don't know, because there wasn't that physical. Well, there's only so much.
There's not physical proximity, so it's a lot harder. Did you guys, when you originally were talking to the apps, did you say, like, did he broach the topic, or did you?
I think he brought it up.
Was he like, hey, we should have a FaceTime date? Is that what he said?
Well, we exchanged phone numbers first, and then
because you decided to throw safety to the wind and just start giving people all your shit.
Just take my number. I think we exchanged numbers, and then he planned for Saturday. It was Sunday, but I think he brought that up, not me. But I also wanted to do it as an experiment because I realized this is probably going to be something a lot of people start doing because we're going to be inside a lot more. So
did you set it for a specific time?
We set it for a specific time.
Did you confirm ahead of time, or?
I gave him because I look like a boy, right? So I needed extra time to fix my hair. So I hit him with would you mind if we pushed it back maybe 30 minutes because I had to eat. I was late to our virtual date. Great. But he didn't care because he wasn't really doing anything anyway. So it's actually more okay to be late because everyone's inside doing nothing anyways. No.
It's more okay to be late because you were the one late. I bet if you were sitting there waiting and you're like all ready and he was like, I'll give you another 30 minutes.
I gave him
no, fuck that.
I gave him a 15 minutes prior to of, hey, I'm just running a couple minutes, but it's not okay. It was at 9:00 that we were supposed to go out, and at probably 8:45, I texted him and said, hey, I'm probably going to be running behind. Just FYI, do you mind if we just push it back? And he said, yeah, that's fine. Because he, like I said, he wasn't doing anything but just sitting there anyways. But so yeah, I was technically late. And what else? I mean, yeah, we set a time, and then weird too of who calls who first.
Yeah.
Because normally when you show up to a date, someone's got to be the first one sitting there at the bar, you know. So I called him, and then my dumbass, I like set the phone right there, and it was charging, and then it fell over as soon as he picked up. He kept saying, hello, you there? And I was like, oh shit, yeah, I'm here, I'm good. So I look like an idiot. Typical Sarah fashion.
I feel like that's a first date for you, though. It's like
I always do something. I dropped something on me, so this time I just dropped the phone. Okay. But yeah, and then it's also awkward too of, oh, it's getting late, I have to go to work tomorrow, or I have to, I don't know. But it was we did it so it was at 9:30 is when we started, and then around 10:30 we decided to call it a night. But that's when we both go to bed. So he said, I need sleep, and I said, me too, and then we just kind of ended it there. The conversation was kind of dying down, but that's one thing that you don't really think about when you're talking of, how do I get out of this? What are my options that I can end this? Because I have nowhere to fucking go right now. I'm just sitting here.
Like, if you're a person on a date and you'd be like, hey, all right, I gotta go pee, I'll be right back, and you get up and pee, it's weird if you're FaceTime with someone to be like, I gotta call you back, or like it's like like, or just sit here for a minute, I'll be right back. And then if you're not wearing pants, you have to be careful about getting up and going, And then if depending on where you set up, I already know in your house you can hear you pee.
That is true too.
I've heard you pee many times in our breaks.
So maybe the tip is go to the bathroom before your video date, unless your bathroom is pretty far away.
Even when I think about that it's a kind of an important one.
That's a good point. Yeah, because I didn't pee on the date because I didn't want to get up or anything. I really just wanted to sit right there. I didn't want to walk around or do whatever. I just really stayed right there.
And it might be a good idea to set a, hey, yeah, I've got time from like 9 till about 10:30, and then and like
an official meeting of this time.
But just kind of say, like, yeah, I've got something going on at 10:30 that so I'll have to kind of get off around then. Just so you set like a suggested, okay, this is going to end at this point. Because the one thing about this kind of virtual dating situation is that it's not, once again, going out to a bar. There's a lot of people watching. There's a lot of, what's on the TV? Like, you can talk about things that are happening around you. There's a lot of
environment playing.
Right. There's a lot of like ambient conversation that'll happen. There's none of that. This is just 100% active conversation and listening, which is a little bit more. I mean, it's a more engaging, but it's also a little more draining as well.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about stuff that I don't feel like I would go that in depth on a first date, but we just kept talking and talking about it because, one, we had no concept of how long this was going to last for, and two, there weren't any environmental cues or a bartender asking, "Oh, can I get you a refill?" or
Right. There's no breaks in the conversation. There really isn't. It's just a continuous thing. It's like, like after you and I end up recording, it's not draining, but it's like, we just it's work. It actually is. It's actual work. Whereas going out and having a drink and chatting with somebody, you can decide if the person's shitty that you're like, I'm not really going to talk to this person now. I'm like, and just, you can end things quicker. It's harder if you're on a FaceTime date or something like that to be like, yeah, I got to go. My friend just called me and said that she has an emergency or whatever, I have to get home. Sorry, I just had an emergency at home. I got to go home. My cat's sick. You're already at home. You can't do that. So like it really,
there's nothing, nowhere to go.
So maybe before you go on this virtual date, you make sure this person's someone you want to talk to. Like, you make sure you don't jump right to it. Just like normal. Like, you try to screen them with the chat before you get to the virtual dating.
I think the vetting process needs to be even more before a video call because it is a little bit more awkward, and we're so much more used to going out at least me anyways, to go out on a first date. And I know how that could potentially go down face to face, where with FaceTime or any kind of virtual date, you don't always know how it's going to go down or what's going to be behind the screen.
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. These are some things that I think a lot of people might not even think about, but over the next 4 to 6 weeks, they're probably
a lot of people will have done that. Maybe.
Well, and they're going to have to think about it. I would say, and it might be, might be something to consider before you make that first Facebook date. So after you have the first date, I feel like the first date should be a normal, like a face-to-face video conversation, right? That should be the first. After that, though, that's when I think you kind of like, you could just keep talking. You could just keep having dates. But I feel like if it's something where you really feel a connection with the person, and then you're like, well, what do I do now? Like, how do I make this something that's not boring? How do I keep this going?
Keep it alive and
keep it so like it's still something that you guys have fun little things to do that maybe create some new memories virtually before you get to meet in person.
Right.
What kind of ideas do you have about that?
Well, I will say, side note, have you seen the viral video TikTok that this guy from Brooklyn, he sent? No, you have no idea.
I'm going to say no, but I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
I mean, maybe I doubt it.
He noticed a girl dancing on a rooftop in Brooklyn, and he sent a drone over with his phone number. And
I did see that. I thought that was creepy as fuck. Okay.
Really? Okay. Well, it made the news and whatever. But then they started texting, and then he invited her on a virtual date where he ate on his balcony and she ate on the rooftop, and they FaceTimed one another. And then the second date that they went out, he bought one of those blow up bubbles, and they walked down the street and talked or whatever. So, I mean, all that. I
was wondering if that was actually real or if that was just a complete.
No, I think it's it's real. Okay. Well, at least on his Instagram, he said it was real, and I had shared that on my personal and on Dating Kinda Sucks on Instagram as well. But no, he said it was real. But that made me think of, well, if you're not doing Tinder Passport or they're not 3 hours away in Memphis, like in my situation, you could, after you did the first virtual date, you could walk in a park and be 6 feet away from one another, or
that's true. That is true.
Instead of because the alternative is to walk down the street, FaceTiming them where they're walking somewhere else. Of let's go on a virtual walk together. Where
I would say might be safer.
I mean, but I don't know. It depends on the city. Depends on.
Well, when I had my friend over the other day, and we were hanging out in the pool and everything, and we were, being very, very good. But then, like, at the end of the day, like, I was like, give me a hug before you leave. Like, like, I want us, like, to, because, like,
right, the human interaction of it all.
The human interaction and the physical contact was nice, and give her a hug. And I mean, hug to hug is going to be pretty safe anyways, obviously, because, you're not, like, breathing in her, like anything. Anyways, I mean, she's like 5'4", so she's like at chest level, like, I'm not worried about that, but so the safety wise, it's probably okay. But if you're on a date with someone and you're actually having chemistry, it's really going to be hard to be like, let's just say fuck it, let's go back to one of our places and fuck, like,
let's just have sex. Yeah,
let's just do it. So I don't know.
You don't want to even risk that, so don't meet up in person is basically what you're saying.
I think it might.
I agree. I don't know if I could keep my hands to myself if I really had a connection and wanted to jump their bones. If
you self-quarantine for 2 weeks and you don't have any symptoms, and the other person's also doing for 2 weeks and you have any symptoms, and you've been gone a couple virtual dates, then you should probably just set up something in one of your houses and then just bang a little bit.
It's probably not what the CDC recommends.
Bang. No, but that's what the AHA recommends. All right.
You're not a medical professional.
I am a doctor, by the way. I just want everyone to know that. All right. I am a doctor.
Not a medical professional.
Oh, no, not a medical doctor. I'm just a legal doctor.
But okay, so maybe not the second date. You would still do virtual for a while until.
I'd say virtual. Wow, that's probably the better solution for that.
I was just trying to think if you went on
a taking a walk and like talking on the phone could be good. I mean, that could be a nice little thing, I guess. Like, I would rather talk on the phone than FaceTime. I don't know. Try to walk and look at a phone. I feel like that's how you walk in the traffic.
Well, there is no traffic, so joke's on you.
That's true. That's a good point. But that would be that just seems like asking for trouble to try to look at a video while walking. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just awkward. Yeah, just the phone. I mean, you can just talk on the phone and walk, and that could be nice. And then, of course, you can do things like have phone sex. Obviously, that is just regular phone sex. You could have video phone sex. Video sex. You could have cyber sex. You could do
so quickly after meeting them.
No, I'm just saying that's like a possibility down the road. If things go really well, then why not? I mean, I would say I've had that happen after one phone conversation. The next phone conversation I had with somebody.
I know how to do phone sex. I just can't.
Yeah.
Just can't. No. I'm like.
So I can only imagine.
I can't. No. So I tried. Okay, backtrack. I tried.
So wearing, and you just feel like. See, just like that. That's exactly what it is.
I can't. No, because I tried with the doctor the other night, and.
Did you?
We started the phone call without being sexual at all. We were just talking about normal shit. And then he slowly tried to get into it, and I just went on mute. I didn't know what to say. He was well, what about when I do this? And I'm just sitting there.
Yeah,
I just don't know what to say. And I'm like, yeah, I just love sucking your dick and putting your dick in my mouth. And I can't say it with a straight face either.
No, it's just like, you just be like, I mean, usually whenever it's like, I wish I was there. I'd be rubbing your back right now, and I'd move my hand down the small of your back, and you just start kind of describing what's happening.
I don't like being a narrator in that of like, I don't know. And then I can't.
I want to hear. No, I want to hear. I want to hear a line right now. I know. I want to hear a line from you. I want to hear something.
I don't even know. No, I mean that. Oh my god, this is so embarrassing. I feel like I would say, no, because it would be something dick sucking related, and I can't even. Right. I don't know, and I would put. Notice how my voice got really low, and I would just put. Stop almost saying something because I'm gonna flip shit, and I would put your dick in my mouth, and I don't. I can't do it, Adam. I can't even do it. I can't even do it on the phone with one other person. I definitely can't do it when people are listening. I'm sweating right now. I'm so bad at
my mouth, and then I would suck on it.
And then I would hope you would come in my mouth.
And I would hope you would come.
And then that would be it. And I'd go up and down and up and down. And are you? Did you come yet? Because I came. Yep. Mm-hmm.
phone sex. Maybe we should someday do a whole episode on phone sex. But phone sex is a lot of it. It's about
Next
the tone.
episode is going to be phone sex.
It's not about laughing. Like, it's about the tone. It's about just kind of like getting into a mood and just kind of getting into a rhythm. Sometimes it's actually a hypnotic type thing, that you can say. Are you like you're flushed right now?
Holy shit! No, like literally, my left cheek hurts so bad from being so embarrassed about this.
This is fantastic.
Literally sweating.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it can get repetitive. I mean, I've talked to when I've had phone sex with someone where we found the one thing that's like really clicking with her, and like I keep trying to circle back around to it because she's getting closer and closer to coming, and so like it's something where like you're trying to think of new ways to say it, and it can be really difficult to keep doing like that.
Saying yes, fuck me harder, fuck me harder, harder.
Right.
What else?
Yes, just like that. Exactly like that.
Just like that. Yep. Sex with Sarah, a new podcast concept.
Sarah's going to teach phone sex classes.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It's something I enjoy doing. It's fun. It's fun to do. And when you're talking on the phone with someone, you're both laying in bed and you're just kind of talking, and then the conversation starts getting to that, and you start. It could be a really fun way to go. And you just talk about it and just get into it. And yeah, I mean.
But what about, would you have phone sex with someone? I guess the answer is yes for you, before you've actually had sex with them. Because I've had successful phone sex experiences before. And I say
successful with your air quotes.
I don't know how
successful. You didn't actually come, did you?
I never came when I had sex with this person anyways. But
phone sex, you're the one.
Phone sex, I thought it was more comfortable to have phone sex with him because we had already had sex.
Okay.
Versus I have never had sex with the doctor, and to then talk about
had put his penis in your mouth and sucked it in back and forth and moved it up and down.
And he came in my mouth and I swallowed. Yes. Ooh, ah, ah, ah. I just came.
You're a fucking robot. This is great.
I can't do it, okay? I just can't.
Oh, I love this so much. This is great.
This is what happens when you
I'm going to write a phone sex script, and we are going to have to act it out at some point. I cannot wait.
Act it out. What is that?
Act it out. Just you have to actually read it. Basically, we're gonna do a.
Yes, I have my vibrator in my left hand, and I'm so turned on right now, baby. Oh yeah. No, I can't. I had to close my eyes for that too, because I can't look at you right now. Closing your eyes is okay. Closing your eyes is okay when you do it. Like that's okay too. That's part of it, because you're supposed to be imagining. It's supposed to be like fantasizing about the person being there. That's really what it is. So yeah, no, I just get super mute, and then they keep talking, and I just sit there. I'm like, So, I am now the human starfish over the phone. Yep. Yeah, basically. Oh, that's great. Anyways, well, for other people, phone sex might work. Or unless you're like me, then then it's not gonna work. But no, I think I definitely have to write a phone sex script, and then we have to record that because it's gonna be fantastic. Outside of phone sex and virtual first dates, where else do we go from here? Well, there's always the whole idea of watching a movie with somebody, which I think is great. Real? And it's fun. I did it with there was the girl I was talking to, and she wanted me to watch Avatar: The Last Airbender, so we were on the phone together, and she's like, "All right, hit play now." So then we hit play together, and we watched, and so like you're both experiencing it, and you get to talk about it while you're there, and that can be fun. Netflix has a thing called Netflix Party thing? Yeah, it's on Chrome only, so it's for laptops or desktops, whatever. It's on Google Chrome, but with that, you just set it up and you can watch a movie at the same time with somebody. So once you both log into it, it allows you to play and pause all at the same time, so you don't have to try to coordinate. And that's kind of fun. I haven't tried it yet, but it's something I should definitely. I was actually just going to ask you, and so it's not a video or anything. So you could FaceTime with them outside of that and then play the video. I haven't tried it. I don't know if it actually has a video call capable. Like if it was smart, what it would do is it'd have the movie on like most of the screen, but then a little square with you can see the person you're talking to as well. That would be how I would want to do it, because you're also going to have probably earbuds in watching it, so maybe it'd be, I don't know. So I like that. I like that idea of being able to just watch a movie with somebody, and you guys can or a TV show or something like that. So those are fun dates. And then there's going to be like people want to do like, how do we do like let's make it something. This isn't enough. They don't want to watch movies. They don't want to do that. Maybe some other options. What do you think? I mean, we talked about the happy hour type thing of getting drinks and the delivery.
Yes.
So those are still options that you could do. You could also
cook together.
Yeah, that was like kind of the next thing I was gonna go down is you could pick a meal and cook it together, but not together, or cook 2 different meals. It doesn't have to be the same thing. I don't know.
It would be kind of fun just to like set up your camera and you sit there and you just cook together. You know, you're making your different meals and you sit down and you eat.
Or you make the same meal and see who does it better.
Well, of course. That's why I like the idea of cooking the same meal, because then you definitely can say, oh, yeah, who did it better.
Top Chef, but date edition.
Yeah, exactly. The date edition. Yes. There's a bunch of games you can play. There's a bunch of trivia games and stuff like that. You guys can play. You can play back and forth with somebody. Like you can play like Heads Up. You know that one game with the
It's already a virtual game, right?
Yeah. It's a kind of virtual game. So there's a bunch of virtual games. You could play regular games. You could also, but I think there's so many different cool virtual games you can play. I forgot what I was going to say. This is a friend of mine who's local. There's that game. I don't know the name of it, and I've never owned it. But it's a thing where you put that fucking thing in your mouth, and then you try to say a phrase, and people try to guess it.
Right.
So the other night she was just sending me videos of her, like she was recording it and she was sending me, and it's like, guess what I said? And I was trying to guess, and then I didn't have it, so I couldn't like play with her basically, but I was trying to guess what she was saying. And it was like, that was a fun thing to do. It was just like it's not really dating. It's not really a date, but it's a kind of a fun back and forth.
I like that. Yeah.
Way to communicate with somebody that you're enjoying talking to without actually like just texting the same shit. How was your day? Sat on my ass all day and watched Netflix, and now
I worked from home and I'm so bored and alone.
So I could do that. One thing that I like, and this is something that I think is kind of it's going to be a throwback, and I think a lot of people might not, be like, what? But is to write emails to each other. And it's kind of a toss back, it's kind of the electronic version of sending letters to each other, which back when I was like in high school, I would write letters to, when I would go away for like different things, I would always write letters to the people that I was into, that I was dating, or even other people, friends and stuff too. My first year of college, I wrote a bunch of letters as well. And emails can be a nice thing, just like, because you can write out this whole thing. And if it's someone you're just getting to know, you can say, like, write an email and then ask them like 5 questions or 10 questions, like in-depth questions. You can be like, so what's your biggest fear? Or, what was the first time you ever kissed somebody? Like, things like that. And you can answer it and then let them, or you can wait for them to answer it and then they go back and forth. And you can like set up this whole like just long email chain of just a correspondence where you guys you're not on the spot answering them. So you're taking the time to really write a good answer and then send it back. And then, it can just be kind of a fun thing to keep going while you get to know somebody.
I can see that being fun, but then I would think, well, why wouldn't I just ask them in person? Because I would hate spending all the extra time typing it out and then reading the email. And
it can just
my
be like
life is busy, but it's not. I don't know. I do like the whole,
especially if you're like working, like if you still are working, if you still have to work and maybe like at work you have like an extra half hour on your lunch break to send an email. I had that with somebody a long time ago, and we escalated that to like challenges for each other, like, and it turned into sexual stuff after a while. But like, it was kind of, like, oh, I want you to do this, I want you to do that. And we would like just send each other little challenges, like little dares basically, by email. And it was like, it was kind of awesome. Like it was kind of our own little private communication, and it was a fun thing to do. So I might suggest something like that too.
Yeah, that's definitely not one that I really had on my radar, but I don't hate it. I mean, or you could write a little story or something and send stupid stuff like that back and forth too.
Stupid stuff like that.
I don't know. You can do that too. I don't know. Just to be more personable with them without having to jump on a FaceTime.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is like, it also, you don't have to have the same mundane conversations if you're taking things on a deep level by email. Sometimes email gives you the opportunity to take your time to respond. So and you're also not distracted or anything like that. Like you're just like, let me get into it. And the person can take the time to read it too, because if you're just talking to them face to face, it's easy for them to, I don't want to say forget, but when there's a lot of information, it can sometimes be a lot of information to retain. And this kind of is like, oh, like this is like, I'm putting this in black and white. I'm putting this into a written format for your absorption at your own time.
Yeah, Okay. Well, let me know when you send someone a long email like that when you're social distancing and dating, even though you're not. But
I know.
Maybe that's something I'll try next.
It could be interesting. I think it might probably have to be maybe a little bit older to enjoy it, but I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah.
What other ideas?
I don't know. Don't date.
Yeah.
Well, I know that I'm not going to be having phone sex, and I'm probably not going to.
We all know you're not going to be having phone sex.
Yeah, everyone should be telling me I should never even try after that.
Even if you were, that wasn't even phone sex. That was just.
It was just awkward as fuck. Yeah, but yeah, I don't. What else? I mean, the games. I think, unless there's something else that you think that you could do on a date.
Another idea I had that I thought would be kind of fun would be a virtual scavenger hunt where you just pick something like find me something blue, find me something.
That's like driving. That's like driving on a road trip and you're looking for a certain letter in a billboard or color from something else. Yeah.
If each stuck in your own homes, you're like, find me something that's 15 years old. Find me a picture of you as a child. Find me like all these like cool little things you can do, and then you can either do it while you're FaceTiming with someone and be like, oh, let me go see who finds it first, and then the next person has to come up with the next thing to find. Like it can be like whoever finds it first gets to come up with the thing to find next or something like that. I don't know. I figured that could be kind of a fun thing to do, and it kind of walks you through a lot of what that person's life is like as well.
I like that idea a lot more than the emails, to be completely honest. But that's just because I think it's more interactive, and I think with some people, reading email
communication.
I mean, yes,
definitely more interactive.
Yeah. Okay. But I'm just saying I like that one a little bit more because I could say, okay, and either
it could be a fun idea. Like it could be like, find me a picture of your family pet. Find me what's the most expired food item in your fridge, or whatever. Like just like the little things, and you could come up with really specific things or really broad terms. And it could be fun.
What's the favorite picture you have hanging on your wall, and show that, or
exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of a neat little thing. So maybe something like that would be a thing that people could do. Maybe it'd be fun to maybe come up with some ideas for questions for that too, for people, for our listeners. But
yeah, maybe we come up with a game. Maybe we just come up with a game of 20 questions to play on the scavenger hunt.
I like that.
Yeah, and then everybody goes and tries it on their virtual date.
I think we should. I think we'll do that. We'll probably post that in the Facebook group.
Yeah.
So you actually have to be in the group to listen to see it. There's a show called Taskmaster that I really love. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It's a British show. It's a game show, and it's basically this guy, the Taskmaster, and then there's 5 comedians, and he gives them the tasks, and they do it. And then the show is them watching each of them all try to accomplish it and who did it in the right time or who did it right, etc. But it's all about thinking outside the box. Like it's things like one example that they had was an egg. They had an egg and it said whoever gets this egg as high as possible wins. You have 10 minutes. And that's the task. And so one comedian just, tries to like just stack it on something high, and then and that's it. Another person like gets up and throws it high up in the air and says, well, it doesn't say it has to stay as high, it just says it has to get there, so it's kind of like and so what they're actually doing while people are social distancing and staying inside and everything is they're doing these home tasks as well. And I think the Twitter account is @Taskmaster, so it's just just @Taskmaster on Twitter, and it might be worth, if you're looking for other ideas, it's kind of fun. Those are fun little things that you can do with friends or do on dates as well. So
I like that. That's so fun as well.
The show is a great show because it's cool watching comedians like think outside the box. Like, oh well, the rules don't say the specific words, so let me try to think out. Try to change it a little bit. Yeah, basically bend the rules a little bit. So
yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, if we do actually end up putting in the effort of writing some virtual scavenger items, where should we put them? Should we put them on the website?
Where should we put them? We will definitely put them in our Facebook group. And if you haven't joined that, it's facebook.com/group/DKS podcast. We have a growing community in there normally we'll pull a couple questions each week to talk about topics, but tell us your dating stories and your virtual dates in there as well. Maybe we should also post it on our Instagram @datingkindasucks just as an image and give people that.
Oh,
but we can do that as well. If you have any questions or want to email us, you can always email us at datingkindasuckspodcast@gmail.com. Or follow us on our personal Twitter accounts and check out Taskmaster as well if you want to add on to that social distancing scavenger hunt.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can, of course, if you're listening on Spotify, please follow us. If you have Spotify, please find us on Spotify and follow us. If you're listening on Apple and iTunes, Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. Like a review is actually very important, as much as the rating, and that'd be really helpful if you haven't done that yet. And then finally, if you're enjoying everything and you want to support us, you want to support all the work we're doing, you're enjoying whether you're listening or watching this new video thing we're going to do. I think we're going to start trying to do this regularly. You can support us on our Patreon. That's patreon.com/DKS podcast. Patreon is just Patreon. Patreon.com/DKS podcast. For as little as $5 a month, you can support us. We have exclusive content that goes on there whenever we come up with something cool enough to put on there. It's something that we work on.
Maybe the
phone sex thing. Yeah, maybe when we have the phone sex script.
Phone. Yes. I was saying it backwards too because I clearly can't do it. I'm done.
This is gonna be the best thing ever. But like we do have a foot fetish erotica reading by Sarah and I, which is pretty good. It was written by Sarah, and then she and I read it out loud, and that's on our Patreon, as well as a bunch of interviews with my exes, that I've dated. Someday Sarah may get around to doing one of those with her exes, because I would love.
Like I said, no one wants to. I
would love to hear one of them. Like one of these guys you've been out with.
They'll say that I'm insane or that. Just don't date her. I don't know.
Well, that's okay too. We know you're not.
It's true. Did you hear? Yeah. Anyways,
yeah,
did you hear the episode? But
yeah, right. But anyways, you follow us anywhere. Email us if you have any questions. Join our group. Talk to us. We're here. If you need somebody to talk to, if you're getting really kind of just down and being alone, you can always reach out. I've had a couple people reach out on Instagram, actually, DMs, because I'm still in Facebook jail for 3 more days. By the time this episode comes out, I will be in. Yeah, I know.
Oh my god!
The day after the episode comes out, I'll finally be back on Facebook. But I've had a couple people reach out just because they were having kind of a hard time, and we just chatted. And it's we're like I'm always around to chat if you need to send me a message or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it's also important to remember too. We're all in this together. This is a weird time right now. Whether you're trying to date or just trying to get through your anxiety about this whole situation, and then anxiety plus dating, we're here for you. And like Adam said, I get DMs through Instagram as well. So always feel free to reach out. We're here not just for you to listen on the podcast, but also in the communities that we're building and personally on our own profiles as well.
That's right. And we'll be back next week with a brand new episode. And thank you for tuning in.
Until next time.
Whether you're married or single or poly or ace, or hanging out with swingers back at your place, listen to us as we give no fuck on Tinder and Bumble and plenty of yucks, trying and having no luck, because we all know dating kinda sucks. Sarah and Adam are 2 of a kind. He says stupid shit and she doesn't mind. They're not doing this show to make any buck. Life as a chicken whose feathers they pluck. Why does it work? Well, here is the crux. They both know dating kinda sucks. Dating kinda sucks.